Good evening and thank you for joining us. You're watching live with Faye on my YouTube channel. Like we keep telling you, every day we conduct a discussion at 8 p.m. on topics that are of national importance. Just to remind our viewers, this is not a debate, this is a discussion. The idea here is to further our understanding of the issue and empower us with information so that we become more informed citizens. We're going to continue to pay attention to the case that has come out of Uttar Pradesh that we talked about yesterday. I know that many of you joined us in our conversation yesterday, and to give you an update of what has happened since then, if you don't already know, I want to start, of course, by warning our viewers that some of the details in this conversation might be triggering to some people. So if you're going to find it triggering, it might, you might advise discretion at this point. But to take you through what happened yesterday, after the very saddening death of the 19-year-old Dalit girl who was raped and tortured in her village 15 days ago, her body was then taken back from Delhi to her village. It reached her village, we understand, from various news reports at about midnight. At this point, the police asked the family to cremate the body immediately. There are visuals, very distressingly, of family members flinging themselves physically at the ambulance to stop the police from taking the body directly to the crematorium or to the cremation grounds. The police is also seen in videos that various journalists who were present at the time have made, arguing with the family and convincing them to burn the body immediately, saying things like, "Aapne kuch galti bhi kiye honge," convincing them that the body has been that it has been several hours since the death and this needs to happen immediately. The family members are seen begging literally that they be allowed to take the girl back inside the house one last time, that they be allowed to see her face one last time. The mother of this child saying that it was her dying wish to go back home. Please allow us to take her back home. We understand that this went on for 2 hours. At about 2:30, and between 2:30 and 3 a.m., the police, apparently, by these visuals, allegedly barricaded the family inside their home, took the body directly to the crematorium, and cremated the body without any family members present. Questions are now coming up, quite rightly, about the dignity or the lack of dignity awarded to this young woman in life and in death. What was the hurry of the police? Why did they need to do that? We still don't know. We have a response from the district magistrate of Hartas, who has given a statement to the press, and I quote this response. He says, "The allegations of the funeral being conducted without the family's consent are wrong. The father and the brother gave their consent to conduct the funeral at night. Family members were also present at the funeral. The vehicle carrying the victim's body was present at the village from 12:45 to 2:30 a.m. Now, many journalists who were present at the time refute these claims and say very clearly that the family was not allowed to be present. According to an Indian Express report, the brother of the young girl has said, and I quote, "It appears that my sister has been cremated. The police are not telling us anything. We begged them to let us bring her inside the house one last time, but they didn't listen to us." There are newspaper reports again alleging that the cremation was done using fuel, and the fire was lit by one of the policemen. Several questions we have to ask. A, about dignity and the lack of it in this case. Also, the failing of the police and what their motives could possibly have been. Two, what could the Uttar Pradesh government have done differently and what the failings and the role is of the Uttar Pradesh government. The district magistrate. What is the district magistrate's role in a case like this? And what could the district magistrate have done differently? And finally, why it's very important to pay attention to the caste angle. And I'm addressing all of the various questions that have arisen on social media. People writing to me saying, "Why are you bringing it up that she is a Dalit? She's just a woman. We should just look at this as a crime against all women," and why there is a serious problem with doing that and not addressing the caste angle in this matter. We're going to talk about that as well, and we will try and take as many questions as we can through the course of the conversation. Like, I want to remind you one more time, the idea is to further our understanding of the system, the structure, and its failings. Joining me this evening, like they did yesterday, are Yogita, Bhayana and Trisha Shetty. Yogita is an activist who works with survivors of rape and their families and helps them actually through the entire judicial process. Trisha Shetty is a lawyer who does the same thing. Ms. Meeran Borwankar is a former IPS officer, someone greatly respected as someone who headed the crime branch in Mumbai, someone I respect as well. And Kiruba Munusamy is a lawyer with the Supreme Court, but just not a lawyer. That would be an unfair description of her. She is a social, political, judicial activist, and she fights specifically for justice for women and specifically for women against whom there's crime of a sexual nature and Dalit women. So that intersection of crime against women and crime against Dalits based on their caste, that is that very important intersection to which she has devoted her life. So there isn't a stronger voice on this matter in the country than Kiruba right now. So I'm really happy that she gave us her time. Ladies, thank you for joining us. As a special bonus for me, we have an all-woman panel. It's something that I take pride in whenever we manage to do that. So that's a good thing as well for me to note. Thank you all for joining us. Forgive me. Ms. Borwankar, I would like to start with you with my first question of the failing of the police at this point. People are asking, why would the police possibly want to deny the family the last rites? We also understand that people do not cremate after sundown. They wanted to wait until the next day. But the police actually, I mean, we've all seen the videos. They went ahead and did it anyway. Why would they have wanted to do such a thing?
So first, the police version, and it seems the magistrate's version, is that the deceased's father and brother had given permission. So having flagged that, I haven't verified, we haven't verified that. I agree with you that in India, most part of India's cremations don't take place at night. Secondly, the reporters there, media there have reported that the family was reluctant. And not only were they reluctant, as you have mentioned, they were begging not to cremate at night. And they were also, the mother of the deceased wanted the young girl's dead body to be brought home, as she said it was her last wish. And even that was not permitted. So I have also been mulling over this. It seems that the district police and the state headquarters expected a very serious law and order issue if the body had remained and the cremation had taken place, say, next day or a day after, in view of their apprehension that there will be a serious law and order problem, not only because it's a gender issue, it's a extreme form of torture and murder of a young child, but as you have mentioned, it has also caste connotations. You just cannot wish them away. In view of all that, it seems they felt there'll be extreme law and order issue, and therefore it's not only seems to be the decision of the SP of the district, who is the police chief, but magistrate also seems to have agreed to it. Yes, there should have been no cremation at night. Family should have been permitted to honor the dead young girl. No force, absolutely, there should not have been any force. It's an extremely insensitive, inhuman, and professionally incorrect decision. That's my opinion.
Ms. Borwankar, what would you have done if you were in the place of the police officer in charge? If there was a concern about law and order in this particular case, how would you have handled this differently?
So, Faye, I don't even have to speculate. When I was a young DCP in Mumbai, we had a similar caste riot in Chembur and Nehru Nagar area. In police firing, 4 people lost their lives. One was a young 16-year-old girl, similarly from the caste angle. The thought that we should forcibly have the cremations never occurred to us. In this, I would say Maharashtra police is more maybe matured in handling. The commissioner of police See, these decisions are not taken at a young DCP or district police chief level. I am sure in Hathras also, whatever local police did, it was with the consent of state police headquarters, which would be taking its order directly from the chief minister. I am 100% sure about this. In our case, it was extremely unfortunate that we lost that 16 years old child. I still cannot get over, now it's 20 years old episode, but the orders were clear. Yes, there is going to be serious law and order issue. We will give you all necessary police bandobast support. And the intelligence branch did say that there could be stone throwing, there could be serious law and order issue, but the orders were clear that you do whatever you want, we will give you extra support. But cremating against the wishes of the parents, family, or at night at odd hours, that was never even thought of.
Very important to note here, Ms. Borwankar saying that these orders or this decision could not have been made on the ground by the policeman in charge. It would have come from the PHQ, which is the state police headquarters, with at least, can we take it for granted that the chief minister would have been in the know? He would have been informed.
Absolutely. Home minister and chief minister, they say yes, these kinds of decisions, because it's not a routine decision. It's an extraordinary decision. No young officer, even if he's a direct IPS officer, would take this decision on his own.
I want to bring in Ms. Munusamy here, if I may. There is a legal aspect to dignity. This young girl wasn't awarded the dignity she deserved in life, and certainly in death as well. Does the law allow the government to make a decision of this kind? If one assumes that this was a decision that Chief Minister, Home Minister, and PHQ took together?
No, usually the law doesn't allow such things. And if you take the atrocities against Dalits, whenever there is a caste-related death, the police officials tend to, blame the law and order situation, and they covertly bury or, cremate the dead bodies. What happened in Rohit Vamla case? So they publicly announced that the body would be allowed for students paying last respect, but it was not. The body was secretly taken away to a different burial ground, and it was cremated even without the knowledge of the mother. What was the law and order situation? And even in this particular Hathras case, if the police are truly concerned about law and order, it is not the Dalit family who has lost their daughter to such an cruel offense to be barricaded. It's the other way around, right? And if the government and if the police are truly concerned about law and order and protecting women and in maintaining a peaceful thing in the state, they should have definitely registered a case even before this offense has happened, because there is a past history with the accused family and this victim family. So at every procedural stage and every stage of this process, may it be complaining or may it be taking her to the hospital or may it be bringing her body back to the village or cremating without the permission of the family, at every level the police have taken law into their hands, and all I could see is an abusive of procedure and abusive of law. And I also see an act of collusion, which which in a way silences the righteous anger of the victim's family and the relatives. And this is not something that you expect the family or the relatives or the general public to keep quiet or be a mute spectator of. This is a gruesome violence, and definitely there would some outrage coming out, but this is not the way you do it. You can't kidnap the body and force the parents to stay inside the house and burn the body. And there is also no respect given to the rights and customs that is pertaining to that particular family. For instance, in my family, we bury, we don't cremate. So where is the respect for this family's customs, Dalit family's customs, and where is the respect for the dignity of that girl who has suffered that much violence? Where is the dignity of the family? And where is the least courtesy that should have been shown to the family when it comes to burying their own daughter? So I don't see that law allows it. And like in every other situation, the right to life and right to dignity is an ongoing process which continues to be there on the girl even after her demise. So that right to life and right to dignified cremation or dignified burial has been violated by the police officials.
Ms. Munusamy, I want to also ask you this. Do you believe that the manner of conduct of the police officials in this case has a caste-based angle to it? The upper hand with which the police has dealt with the family, which we're seeing in these videos, where they don't care for the family at all. Do you believe this is an ingrained sort of behavior that the police has towards people who are from the Dalit community?
Of course, it comes from the caste prejudice and it comes from the caste hegemony that has been entrenched in the police system as well. So that is why I refer to Rohit Vamla, and not only Rohit Vamla, not only in this Hathras case, but I have been on ground for many other cases as well. So when there is a caste-related atrocity and when there is a death, it is the Dalits who suffered for even access to lawyer services or even access to police stations or whatever access you need in order to bring the perpetrators to justice. So I think it's a systemic problem. And what we are seeing here is a systemic casteist hegemonic police system that's been ruining the dignity of the Dalits even after their deaths.
That's very well said. We have a question from Vidya who says, going against the family's wishes is unjustifiable. Agitation is bound to happen. Is the UP police not capable of handling agitation? Which is exactly what Ms. Borwankar said, that if you feel there's going to be an agitation, then the police's job is to do bandobast for that agitation and not to take matters into their own hands. Trisha Shetty is with us as well. Trisha, the UP police, again, like was said, is basically treating this family's rights, their customs, their emotions with a certain level of disregard, unable again to do their jobs.
I think it's not just the inability to do one's job, but it's the dereliction of one's duty. There's a difference. If I'm unable to do my job, as opposed to I'm going out of my way to violate my oath. So I'll give you certain examples. If you looked at Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh, the rapist, Love Charger Baba, whatever, when there were worries about how the Sirsa, the group, the community would respond to him being charged as a rapist, they enforced the necessary measures for law and order, right? That is what the law of the land mandates. You do not deny justice because you're worried about the repercussions of law and order. You double down with security protocol required. So we do see that happening. Unfortunately, we do see that happening for rape accused, not even rape accused, rape convicted. So what is the message we're sending out? That if someone is convicted of rape, his followers may cause law and order issue. Therefore, there will be enough bandobast to ensure. And even after that, there was blood lost. And he rode off in his chopper, if you remember, with no hatkadi, with no nothing, as with VVIP treatment. That is the message we're sending. But if you're a woman who's been raped, if you're from a family of a Dalit community that's been raped, then we will not even give you that dignity in your death, and cite absurd things like law and order. Who has right to your body? Right? For people who don't seem to understand this concept and often want to ask, what does the law say? Think about it. I hope you don't lose a family member, but if you do lose a family member, if the person is in the hospital, in this case, the victim is not convicted, is not an accused, right? So the state does not have custody over the person's body, right? She's a victim in this case. So although she's involved in a police case, her body is not not the body of the state. It is her body. Even when the case is read, it is state versus the accused, because the state has to protect her, not the accused. The accused names are written. Her name is not written. So when she passes away, who has access to her body? Who should have access to her body? Her legal guardians, her family. The state is not her legal guardian in this case. So the state has no business taking her body in the middle of the night at 2:30 a.m. and setting it to fire. When there's a journalist, I believe her name was Tanushri, who's demanding, what are you setting to fire? Whose body are you setting to fire? When there are police personnel surrounding this body, when the parents are telling you, listen, I don't care, you can justify this anyhow. You know, we're living in times where, forgive my language, they will piss all over you without having the courtesy to call it rain, right? So what I mean is they'll inflict your body with the worst kind of atrocity, and then they'll say, oh, but we got permission, the brother signed off on this. If he did, then why were 10 odd police officers barricading the body? Why are none of her family members involved? Why are press asking, what are you burning? So at this point, if you believe in this nonsense that the government and its lackeys are trying to sell you on, then you're part of the problem. So who has access to this body? There's complete violation after violation, which is why yesterday I said in the murder charge, we shouldn't just be charging the rape accused, but also every police officer who delicted his duty. Because the girl survived for 14 days. The girl fought for 14 days to want to survive. It was not the initial infliction solely that caused her death. It was neglection. And, in law, as Kiruba will tell you a lot more profoundly than I could. There's sections of offense, and then there is aggravated offense, right? So there is rape, and then there is aggravated rape. There's assault, there's aggravated. When does an act of abuse qualify as aggravated? When it is done by someone who's put in a position of power and responsibility to protect you. So police officers, when they go and derelict their duty, it is classified as an aggravated assault. So everything you see here, us trying to make sense of this nonsense, is not going to help. Let me just tell you, this is a shit show. There is no sense to this. They have failed. They have derelicted their duty. They are breaking law and order. And we should not be trying to make sense of it. We just need to be focusing on the complete betrayal of the system, the complete breakage of law and order, and again, demand for justice, because I don't want us to get caught within their web of trying to confuse us with these technical terms. I want us to focus that they have derelicted their duties. They have betrayed the social contract that we have. They have broken law and order, and we can't explain it in any other way. But this is complete attack on the constitution, if you may.
I will bring it Yogita Bhayana here. Yogita, you've dealt with so many of these cases on the ground. There's a lot being said about the DM, the district magistrate, who's come out now in defense of the police. If you would please explain to our audience the jurisdiction and the role of the district magistrate and how a district magistrate has influence in a case like this.
Definitely, they have influence only till the time there is something to relate to filing the, passing the file for compensation, reaching out to the family for other infrastructural, kind of issues. But when it comes to the funeral, I mean, it's completely in the hand of police in the sense they cannot cremate the body. I have never seen any of the cases I have dealt with, even with a lot of outrage. Even Rewari case had a lot of outrage. Even if you've heard about, of course, Hyderabad case had a lot of outrage. Nirbhaya case had a lot of outrage, where there was no parents' involvement, where they did the funeral on their own. Nowhere. So I agree with Trisha. They have actually broken the law themselves. And only two conditions they can do the burial or the funeral themselves is when parents refuse to take the body, or there is an abandoned body. I mean, in these two things are not applicable here. So it's completely, it's very fishy. They are trying to hide something. And I have one more very important issue to raise is that this girl was fine. She was, of course, her spine was broken and but she could have been saved. What I mean to say that she could have been saved. She was not in the condition in which Nirbhaya was. She was in a state of medical condition where she could have revived if she was, sent to the hospital earlier. So there is a cover up, and there is something much more. It's a foul play. Not on one account. There are many accounts where you will see that there is a deliberate action to kind of kill her. I would openly say that there is a deliberate action to kill her. I don't know why, but there is a reasoning. So if we have CBI into it or SIT, I don't know. I don't believe in SIT because it has been said by the state and they have their own people. If you look at the members, they're all, even CBI to that matter. But still, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how this will get solved.
So there is a question that's come up from a few of our viewers, and I believe that maybe we should address it. Danish Sheikh has said, I beg your pardon, what if the police were to follow what happened in Hyderabad and encounter the rapists? I must point out, Danish, you're talking about accused. They have not been convicted by a court for political motives. Will the panelists support this? And this is a question also being asked by Aishwarya Amina, because they're saying that effectively, kill the rapist, hang the rapist, shoot the rapist. This is the kind of sloganeering we hear across the country as soon as something like this happens. It motivates the government, as we've seen them do in the past, resort to what are called encounters. I want to understand the panel weighing in on this and what this means for our judicial process. Ms. Borwankar, you first, please.
Yeah, I also wanted to intervene. See, magistrate has a role in the sense in any district which does not have a commissionerate. Maintenance of law and order is the joint responsibility of police and the magistrate. In fact, whenever police has to use force in a district, again, if it is not a commissionerate, permission from the magistrate is required. So the magistrate of this particular district, Hathrasa, comes into picture because, as I said, from what I can understand, they were expecting very serious law and order issues. Therefore, local police took magistrate in confidence, and whatever action has taken place is with his consent. Now, I also want to make two observations. In my opinion, I am again repeating that it is unprofessional, insensitive, inhuman, violation of human rights of a family of the deceased person, insulting the body. I agree to everything, but I do not think in this particular case of cremating at night, there is a caste angle. As I said, from my 36 years of experience, it's a collective decision of district police, district magistracy, and state headquarters. And I don't see any caste angle. I can see two possibilities. One, the father and the brother have given their consent either orally or in writing. And sometimes there is tremendous communication gap. Lower level officers who were on the spot could have conveyed to the seniors that the family has agreed. Otherwise, this kind of act, it's very rare. Why this did not happen in the case of Nirbhaya? Why she was given a decent cremation as per the family tradition, as per the norms. In this particular case, panic, unprofessional policing with total consent of top to bottom. This is what I see.
And so just one follow-up question, Madam, the videos that you would have seen in which the police is interacting with the family, which has been put out on social media, the tone with which the police is speaking to them, the manner in which this is being handled, you don't believe that tone and that communication and the handling of that family would have had a caste prejudice to it?
No, I don't think. I think it's arrogance, it's inhuman, again I'm saying, but to my mind, it's not a caste. And another thing, encounters are not the answer. So in this particular case, I would say that UP government announcing a fast track court is not sufficient. They should say that this particular case has a time limit of 3 months. You have only 4 accused. So you will have at the most 4 defense lawyers and no date shall be given for adjournment. This particular case can come to its logical conclusion within 3 months, and merely declaring a fast track court, I feel, will not do.
So let me just tell you what the UP Chief Minister has announced. He has said that he had a conversation via video conference with the family, with the father of the young girl. He's also had a conversation with the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, who has asked him to expedite justice in this particular case. He's announced 25 lakh rupees ex gratia to the family. they have instituted an SIT, which is a special investigating team, and they have asked for, then they have said that this will go through a fast track court. Must also point out to our audience that they have in this case the survivor, the victim's statement. And in cases like this, the victim's statement is very, very strong evidence. I just want to take this back to Kiruba Munusamy. Do you agree, first of all, with what Ms. Borwankar has said? And then I'll come back to you on the other matter of the encounter.
First of all, I don't think we are discussing if what the police has done is right or wrong. The only question is, can the police do? And the answer is outrightly, no, they can't. And secondly, and there was no such negative policing or, so much of law and order issue in Hathras case. And it's not that the case, it's not, we cannot say that it's not the case for Nirbhaya. No, the nation outraged. The world outraged against Nirbhaya case. And the state owned the Nirbhaya's rape, the state owned her. The state believed that Nirbhaya was its own daughter. And that's why the state was handling Nirbhaya's case differently and Hathras case was handled differently. And thirdly, when it comes to cremation and taking away the body and district magistrate has equivalent power of a district collector. So when there is an issue, when there is a law and order issue, of course, he can make any order which is relevant to maintain the peace. But at any point of time, they don't have any authority to forcibly cremate the body without parents' consent. And as Yogita rightly pointed out, when the parents are not accepting the body, the police officials or the district magistrate can take a decision. But in this case, parents not ready to taking away the body is out of taking the body to their home is out of protesting. They're not telling that, no, we don't want her body. She has been raped. No, that was not the case. The case is our daughter has been violated and we are not ready to cremate her until justice is done. So where is the answer to this? And when it comes to this, encounters or when it comes to capital punishment, I honestly wonder how people are able to say that encounter or capital punishment is a solution, but why aren't they ready to look at the root cause of all these sexual violences in this country? The root causes are culture, which is embedded on caste, social, gender hierarchies. Why are you not ready to look it as a caste-based violence, but you are generous enough and kind enough to forgive a rape accused from being hanged? Of course, I too stand for, abolishing capital punishment. A capital punishment or encounter is not the only solution. And what happened with Nirbhaya was rightly done, of course. But my question is why that righteous anger is not for every other Hathras victim. So when you are ready to say that encounter is not a solution, and capital punishment is not a solution, you also should have the audacity to look at the root cause and tell what is the solution. For me, annihilating caste is the solution. Let them explain how caste is not related in this case and how this is not an intersectional issue. Why we are not looking at this as an intersectional issue?
We have a question also from another one of our viewers who says the Prime Minister has ordered strict action in this case. What value does that have as the highest office in the country? Is that the most that can be done? And what influence will it have on the case? Kiruba, I'll allow you to answer that and then I'll take you to the rest of the
Yes. I don't believe a single word that comes from the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath office or from the Prime Minister's office. They are lying. They are totally lying, and I'm not going to believe them. They have been too busy in, communalizing Babar Masjid case, and they're too busy in laying foundation of Ayodhya temple, and they were too busy in doing other, steps to make this Indian nation a Hindu Raj. But in the past 1 month alone, there have been so many sexual offenses against women, especially Dalit women in UP. And this is not the first time UP has been listed the top state in high rate of sexual violences. It's been listed for years together, for even a decade. What has the government done? It was too busy in communalizing other things, in conducting communal riots, and in protecting all the rioters. So I don't believe anything that's coming from the CM of UP's office or from the Prime Minister's office, because they are against Dalit rights and they are against minority rights, and whatever they are doing is just a cover up and just to silence us.
Right, and I'll come back to the whole panel asking you what should be done on the ground if we really truly want to fix the problem. But the same question now I carry to Trisha Shetty. There have been assurances that have come from the Prime Minister's office, from the Chief Minister's office, and from various officers in Uttar Pradesh. What value is that to the family on the ground?
Family on the ground has answered that through their multiple pleas, citing injustice. When a family is not taking their daughter's body, it is to make a statement. So how can I be arrogant enough to tell you what the family wants when the family is already saying it? I think it's important to distinguish that, and this is something I also read in your comments and on Twitter, the girl was not even awarded the dignity of her family being able to do her last rites. The state didn't do it on the family's behalf. The state burnt her corpse. Let's just call it what it is. Putting a body on a pyre of wood. Did they go through the procedure that we normally go through, or her family have wanted to go through? No. They burnt her body away. So it's not like she was awarded the dignity of going through last rites. And to say that there is no caste angle to it, and the same would have probably happened if it were Nirbhaya. I think Kiruba explained it beautifully. We owned Nirbhaya's grief. We said it could have been one of us. What we are doing here is not even having enough within ourselves to own the grief that comes based on caste-based oppression. I've said this before, caste is our original sin that we have never paid penance for, that we have never acknowledged. So, when the Prime Minister comes and says strictest action will be taken, I'm sorry, is he talking about China? Is he giving assurances to China that if you attack us one more time, we will take strict action? मतलब strictest action किधर लोगे? आप ही के देश में लोगे? You're talking about strict action within your own country. Do you not have the power to take strict action? Do you not have that kind of power that you will just pass off a statement on Twitter? Who's running the state? Ajay Best? Women's security, whose portfolio does it come under? His. So matlab, you're saying strict action will be taken, but what will you do? Why was her body burned in the middle of the night? Why are there reporters asking whose body, what are you burning? They were not even asking whose body are you burning, they're asking what are you burning? Think of what we're reducing a woman's body down to. We're asking, what are you burning to a woman's going through her last final rites? And then we have the audacity to say this is not based on caste? Really? I mean, what paradigm are we functioning under? Which is why I don't want us to fall under these traps that they lay for us. This is, putting us, continuing to inflict systems of oppression and then making you think that you are guilty for it, making you have to justify it. For what? So there's been complete dereliction of law and order. What action will you take? You don't need to announce it on Twitter. Do the action. This is the same government that when Kathua happened, the Minister of Women and Child Development at that time, Maneka Gandhi, instead of addressing Kathua, had put out a contest, if you remember, on Faye, asking people to submit the best solutions to clean their kitchen sink. This is how this government responds to caste and religion-based violence against young people's bodies, young women's bodies. What has Smriti Irani's statement been for this case? And the reason I'm calling her out is because she occupies that office of women and child development. So, when they say strict action will be taken, what is the strict action you will take? Please tell us. Don't just tell us, show it to us by principle. Why does your murder charge, and why do the cases not have the officers who were complicit in this? There is video evidence of the child's body being burned. Family is saying we were not involved. Where is the paper? Now don't bring it down to one piece of paper that the brother has signed off saying, I'm okay with my sister's body being taken care of by the state. We all know how coercion works in this space. So if anything, I will end it with saying, can we please have, I also I'm highly awkward about asking people like Kiruba, who have to go through this on their day-to-day life, and asking them, what is the solution? But the reason I ask this is because I think when you're closest to the problem, you are closest to the solution too, and you offer it without having to defer to state and status quo. You've lost that kind of patience. So if anything, as a people, don't fall into this bullshit system we've been subject to 24/7 and try to justify it and say, why is this not about caste? Come on, it's obvious. And in terms of solution, we have solutions, we have law and order, we have procedure. They're all being cited, they're all being flouted left, right, and center. So who's going to take accountability for this? They say heads must roll. By that measure, who's getting suspended, who's getting criminally indicted? Not just the 4 accused. I told you, they will use this as a distraction tactic. We will award death sentence, we will give cash punishment, cash award to the family. Beyond that, what? Right? So I think that's what we should focus on.
Right. I also want to answer one more question before I go to Yogita. Bhayana. Soham Das has asked a question. It's very important. The question is, have crimes against women and the Dalit community increased in Uttar Pradesh since Mr. Adityanath became Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh? Now, there are data. The NCRB data is available.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Faye. When was the last year of the NCRB data? It's 2018. They've not released any data.
No, they released today. They had released.
Today? Come on. That's my point. They have not even been releasing data.
Let's take a look at the data. It shows that Uttar Pradesh records the highest crime rates against Dalits. That over the last decade, the crime rates against Dalits has gone up 25%, and it's similarly distressing. Insults made up of 50% of the crimes against Dalits, and things like that. And I'm going to take this question back again to Kiruba Munusamy. I'm sure you're looking at the data very closely. Do you want to answer this question? Have the crimes gone up in the last few years since Adityanath took over as Chief Minister?
So UP is a place where caste-based violences are increasing constantly, even without Yogi Adityanath. It's because of the history of Thakur's caste supremacy, and also because of the caste equation of, this where most of the Dalits are agricultural laborers who had to work on the agricultural fields of Thakurs, and it has a tradition of anti-Dalit and a violent history in the state. And I think we should not forget the fact that in 2015, 2 young sisters were ordered by the caste panchayat. 2 sisters were ordered to be gang raped, paraded naked, and with a blackened face by the caste panchayat for the reason their brother eloped with an upper caste woman. And we should also not forget the fact that in the Shakti Vahini versus Union of India case in the Supreme Court, the organization Shakti Vahini that was studying the honor killings in the region of UP, Bihar, and Rajasthan came up with the data where it stated the highest number of honor killings, especially ordered by these illegal panchayats, is high in UP. So these honor killings, these illegal caste panchayats, and the number of caste-based sexual violences against Dalit women cannot be seen in isolation of the Thakur caste supremacy that's been existing there for years. So I think it has a traditionally very caste rigid setup that encourages and enables the upper caste perpetrators to commit more caste-based crimes. And also, I
Yes.
wanted to just respond to Borwankar's statement about charge sheet. And I think if we invoke SCST Act to every single violence against a Dalit woman, then we have to fast track the cases. And the fast tracking leads to 60 days for charge sheeting, and it should fast track the entire trial itself. So it's just not the 3 months where 4 defense lawyers will come. Even if there are 1,000 lawyers are coming, if there are 2,000 accused persons are in the case has to be fast tracked. And that is why we have a special law for atrocities against Dalits. And also we have special fast track codes, which are not operational in reality.
Yes, in fact, I just want to share this data. Like Ms. Borwankar had said, the NCRB data has come out just today. This is an article in NewsClick. It says Uttar Pradesh has the most number of cases of crimes against Dalits. The NCRB data says atrocities against SC/ST increased 7.3% in this last year and 26% in 2019. Uttar Pradesh had the most number of cases in the Dalit Atrocities Act, 11,829 cases, which is 25% of the total cases reported in the country. Rajasthan was second, but a massive difference. Rajasthan had 6,794 cases. Bihar and Madhya Pradesh followed after that. And that actually goes to just support what Kiruba Munusamy was just saying, that this is, this is the pattern of the cases that we're looking at. And this also shows over the last few years that the number of crimes registered against, Dalits have actually been going up. I'm going to go into the last round of questioning right now, and I'll start with Yogita, Bhayana. What needs to be done? Because Yogita, for the last 3-4 years, you and I have been having these conversations about action that needs to be taken, but it is pointless to have these conversations after another girl has lost her life to this. Action needs to be taken starting now to make sure that it doesn't happen again. What is that action, in your opinion, that needs to be taken on the ground?
Not Faye, not one solution can address this problem. There's a series of solutions, and it's a complex situation. So we have to deal with series of things which are available. There are people, they have come out with solution, especially after Nirbhaya case. I can count myself because I was part of NCW's this advisory, this thing. So we have filed so many suggestions to all the departments. So it's nothing to do only with the government, also with the mindset change and the social fabric change. So these things will take some years, but the work has not started as yet. So sorry to say, only to show, yeah, I do police trainings also, gender sensitization in police. I mean, I just did it 2 days ago. I mean, they were arguing with me when I told them the language they are supposed to use, for with the women victim. So they still don't want to believe it. So it has to be done at the right time, not only in the police, especially our politicians need to be sensitized. So gender sensitization, we've been occurring again and again, we've been reiterating, and school education, the moral education, the ethical education, all these things. I mean, not one solution. It's a series of law and order, definitely implementation, forensic labs, infrastructure, courts. I mean, you name the solutions are there. But I can tell you, Faye, it is possible to prevent rapes. People tell and argue that you cannot. It has been going on for time immemorial. But I mean, I can say that if any leader, especially the kind of leadership our prime minister, he pretends to show for other issues like building the temples, and I'm so sorry, but doing some reforms in other angle of creating Hindu nation. If he really wants, he can. Anybody for that matter, any heads of state, if they want to bring about a change, they can prevent. And these kind of cases, especially, it really hurts that this girl could have been shifted if SOPs were followed, if she was taken directly to the hospital, rape crisis center, and if they had recommended her that, okay, she should be referred to Delhi, I mean, she could have been saved. And SSP, this SSP was telling them, I just saw it on social media, He's saying, Abhi, just now, before, after this whole episode, and he's telling them, Aapki bhi to galtiyan thi, aapki bhi galtiyan thi, dusri side ki bhi galtiyan thi. Bloody, they have lost their daughter, and he's trying to tell them that aapki bhi galtiyan thi. I mean, this is the level of our officers.
In fact, there are reports of the fact that when the family took the girl to the police station to file the complaint the first time, she was left lying on a slab of stone in the sun, and the police said, "Inko leke jao, hame fasa rahe ho kya? Why have you brought her here?" The idea of hame fasa rahe ho, you're trying to trap us in this, is really worrying. And I want to take this question now to Ms. Borwankar. Madam, you said that you had a case that distressed you a great deal with a 16-year-old girl that then led to protests in the city of Mumbai when you were in charge. What do you believe needs to be done? Because obviously, police registering cases, collecting evidence, forensics, and prosecution is the delivery of justice. But it's also the police's responsibility to prevent crime, not just to actually investigate, but also to prevent crime. If you were to list out the things that need to be done to prevent crime and to bring down crime, what would that be?
So Yogita has covered most of the points, but I will take the points which I feel she has not covered. First of all, I would divide the UP at least into 4 to 5 states. It seems the UP and Bihar seem to be ill-administered states, not only from the administration point out, police there needs much closer supervision. So I would divide UP into 4 to 5 states. Secondly, 213 criminal amendment has beautiful law in favor of women on paper. We have to execute it in the field. I'm sure all your panelists are trying to do the best, but still they are not succeeding. So I think women have to come out and claim. I met some NGOs who were saying that they go out at night just to say that women want to claim nights as their own, as safe places, streets as their own, as safe places. So maybe amendment of law on paper has to be very strongly backed by us, instead of showing the registration at law. Maybe we are also failing somewhere. So divide the state of UP. Let's go beyond the law on paper and women coming out in open like they came for Nirbhaya's case, claiming it as their own. A point which I strongly differ with is talking of increase in crime. You are, Faye, encouraging police not to register crime by quoting their statistics. The fact that more Dalits are coming out and going to the police station to register the case is a welcome step. Second, the police is indeed registering it and not putting it in the drawers or tearing the paper away, but they are registering FIR is also a very welcome development. So this whole idea of increase in crime shows that the condition of a caste or of women has deteriorated. Please change that mindset. It may in fact be a welcome sign of people becoming assertive to the extent they are not only visiting the police station, ensuring that their cases are registered. So please don't go in to the statistics. An increase in crime is not necessarily showing that atrocities on Dalits or women have increased. It may be that they are coming out in open finally and are able to.
Borwankar, what is the metrics of measurement? If we are going to say we want Uttar Pradesh to be safer for women, to be safer for those of the Dalit community, and to be specifically safer for women in the Dalit community, how do we measure that success or failure?
So it's a complex metrics, but if you're aware, in one of your discussions, we had IDFC, we also had Common Cause. Now they approach citizens and citizen satisfaction level, which also include questions like this: how much faith they have in police and their faith that if they visit the police, the case would be registered. So instead of going for statistics as a reflection of reality, victim surveys, which even Bureau of Police Research and MHA has now agreed to, which IDFC conducted, even CHRI, I think, conducted. Victim surveys would be a better, will give a better idea of the reality than statistics. That's all that I'm saying.
Okay. Let me take the question back to Kiruba. Munusamy, do you agree? Two things that have been pointed out. One is that calling out the rising statistics of crime might actually be detrimental to the police registering crime. This could be a sign of crime actually being successfully registered. Two, that citizen satisfaction levels through surveys are perhaps a better way to measure success or failure of policing.
So in a way, I agree that the increase in a number of registered cases may, show that the reporting of cases have increased, but it doesn't mean that the actual number of offenses have been rightly reported. There are still a number of cases that go unreported when it comes to, sexual violences against women for the reason of social stigma and honor, families' honor, and also for the reason that people, especially coming from marginalized sections, are afraid of their livelihood and afraid of their life even. So I think that is something which have to be looked into in greater detail. And when it comes to police taking action, I think the state and the law enforcement agencies have not willfully committed themselves in protecting the marginalized sections, and especially women. If they had committed themselves for, upholding justice or in maintaining peace in a society, or even in implementing constitution for that matter, for the purpose of right to equality, they would have taken more steps, stringent actions when it comes to caste atrocities. Whereas the reality is that we have to protest for even invoking SCST POA Act in the FIR, and then we have to again file another petition seeking direction to, expedite the investigation. Or the Act says the investigation of caste atrocities should be conducted by an officer who is not below the rank of DSP, whereas most of the cases are not investigated by DSP or above, officers above the rank. And thirdly, there are so many cases which have resulted in acquittal for the simple reason that the police have not collected the caste certificate of the victim and the accused person. And also there are cases which have resulted in acquittal because of dereliction of duty of these police officials on technical grounds. So where this low rate of low conviction comes from? It comes from the negligence of police officials and the negligence of the state and their, lethargicness towards Dalit communities. And where is this reform? And all we see is the same police officials without any accountability carrying on with their duties and promotions. And also next, the impunity that comes to the perpetrators doesn't come from the sky. It comes from the caste networks. It comes from the political support. May it be ruling party, or may it be opposition, or may it be Savarna Parishad, like in the Harthas case. So what happened in Kathua? What happened in Lakshman Burpate in 1997? The perpetrators were Ranveer Sena members. And what happened in Banwari Devi case? BJP leader Kanaya Lamina organized rally in support of the accused. And we know only because of Banwari Devi, we have anti-sexual harassment law. So in all the other cases, police have allowed rallies in support of accused persons, and they have strictly, in a way, banned or stopped Dalit communities from even asking for justice. So this sort of structural problems are because the system itself is casteist. And when it comes to legal system, most of the time the courts don't trust the victims and they don't trust the nature of offenses. And most of the time they blame the victims, may it be a rape, or may it be an ordinary caste atrocity, which doesn't necessarily involve a sexual violence. And also most of the time the court exercises discretion when it comes to credibility of evidence or likelihood of guilt. So all this constructs a structural problem and structural barrier in accessing justice for the Dalit communities. And I think the only the only solution that could be for this is looking at the structural problem and actively discussing the issue of caste at every single opportunity we get, and not only during the deaths or violence.
Thank you so much, Kiruba, for saying that. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, and as audiences, this is what you can do. Read up. Ms. Borwankar, did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, I agree with Kiruba that conviction rate of cases, caste-related cases and conviction of offences against women, that can also give an idea about how serious police is in investigating these cases.
Yes, the conviction rate in both these cases is around 20%, which, around 20-25%, which means that less than a quarter, so 1 in every 4 cases actually sees conviction. And like has been pointed out, this is among the cases that were registered and not, the cases where the police chase the family away from the police station or rip up the paper after they have registered it.
So one concrete suggestion is that judiciary can say in all such cases, the magistrate or the judge must give a clear idea whether the acquittal is because of poor investigation. So if that remark comes, police officers have to take action against the IO, investigating officer.
So we're going to leave it here, but like I said, for the audience, this is what you should do. Read more about caste-based prejudice, hegemony, and violence in our country. That's what you can do. As urban audiences, there is so we have our blinkers, our blinders on, and we pretend that this is not happening. It's not true. It's happening in our very backyards. It's happening in our own buildings. It's happening in our cities. It's happening in our villages. It's happening in our country. The only way to stop this is to be more aware, to read about it. You have the luxury of the internet. There are many, many papers. There's much research that has been done. Just Google it and read about it and make ourselves more aware. On my part, I will, over the next several weeks, organize conversations with experts on the subject where we will talk about our feelings as a country and what we need to do to bridge that gap. It will not be linked to any one specific case, but it will be a continued attempt to talk about this issue, to bring it to the forefront, and to educate as many people as we can about the problems that are being faced right now in our country by our own brothers and sisters of the Dalit community and the scheduled tribe community, and what we need to be doing to fix that problem. That's a commitment I make to you. We're going to leave this for now, but we will continue to pay attention to the progress on this case, because remember, as soon as things move away from the limelight, the police drops his shoulders, everybody relaxes, and then the family is left to fend for themselves. What we need to do is to continue to focus on the fact that justice is delivered. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my panelists. Good night.
Thank you.